We can afford to do this in terms, this is a big country. The idea we can accommodate more people in the interest of the United States. And by the way, guess what? They're the reason why, the legal as well as undocumented, are the reason why our society is functioning, the reason why our economy is growing. We don't talk about that. We stand up and act like it's a burden. It is not a burden. It's a gift. We can afford to do this.
Well, as you just saw in that clip, the man responsible for the close to 20 million people that have invaded this country let you in on the big worst kept secret, which was that this was intentionally done by the Democrat Party. But what they've done, if they've masqueraded it as this humanitarian effort to really help those that were fleeing oppression from countries around the world that we may have never even heard of, in that there is no oppression going on for them to flee. As a matter of fact, it was an open invitation that was extended to every single country that says, hey, listen, America's going to open our borders and we want you to flood us, not with your best and your brightest, but with your worst and the ones that you want to get rid of. As a matter of fact, in some of the most violent countries around the world, their crime has plummeted. These have become some of the safest countries in the world. Now use El Salvador as an example. El Salvador was recently voted one of the safest countries in Latin America to go visit, when at one time it was one of the worst. Now, the reason why I made this video is because a Democrat senator from Vermont, she put her foot in her mouth big time, and she is facing heavy backlash because she said out loud what you and I have known for years, what the real reason was that the Democrat Party opened up the borders and flooded America with illegal immigrants from all over the place, from the Congo, from China, from Haiti, from Venezuela, from El Salvador. And what we're finding out, these people weren't vetted. As a matter of fact, only a small percentage were vetted at all. Now, you might say, why in the world would a party open up the borders, flooded with these people, knowing that the top was going to blow off eventually, especially when you're taking them and you're putting them in already areas that are struggling economically. They're putting these illegal immigrants in some of the poorest populations, and not just amongst black people. It's affecting white people, black people, Hispanic people. But this Democrat senator from Vermont let us in on what the big secret was. So in this video, I'm going to show this clip of what she said. Then I'm going to show you the backlash from it and just how fake the Democrat Party has been. And now they are fully exposed. You know the saying, you can't put the toothpaste back in the bottle once it comes out. Now the toothpaste is out of the bottle, and the Democrats are going to try to defend this, further expose it to the American people. Not only that they don't care about us, they intentionally try to destroy us. Check out what this woman says. As a matter of fact, before I get into that, let me go into the article that's going to describe what this woman did and what she said. Vermont Democrats slammed over disturbing argument for more immigration. She wants more illegal immigration. And as I say, you're going to see in this video the hypocrisy in it, as if you didn't know, but what she says will shock you. We're not going to have anybody around to wipe our, you know what? Becca Balint has come under fire for suggesting President Trump's immigration crackdown will leave Vermonters without anyone to wipe our arses. As a matter of fact, let me let you hear what she said, and then we'll get back to the article.
Labor, and of course, we have to come to a place in Congress where it is no longer a political issue, but we see it as an existential issue for the country. If we don't have avenues for people to come here legally to work or to build a home here, I'm going to be really crude right now. We're not going to have anybody around to wipe our asses because we don't have enough people, labor, and of course.
Now you just heard that. What you just heard was correct. That Vermont senator just said we won't have anybody around to wipe our you-know-whats. So let's go on with the article. The Congresswoman made the outrageous claim, which she herself called crude, during a town hall in Newport, Vermont last week in response to a question about U.S. immigration policy. Our economy is completely bound up in immigration and migrant labor, Balint told her constituents. We have to come to a place in Congress where it is no longer a political issue, but we see it as an existential issue for the country. If we don't have avenues for people to come here legally to work or to build a home here, I'm going to be really crude right now. We're not going to have anybody around to wipe our, because we don't have enough people in our country now to fill the jobs that we have. So somehow this woman has equated needing illegal immigration because there's not going to be anybody around to wipe their backsides. Do you see Do you see the blatant racism in that? But it doesn't stop there. I want you to check something out because it's been hidden right in front of our faces. Now, this is the Democrat senator. This is meet crude, rude, and arrogant Becca Balint, the U.S. House rep from Vermont. She clearly and crudely stated the Democrat motive for pushing illegals across our sovereign borders. In her words, if the U.S. doesn't open its borders to illegals, we don't have anybody around to wipe our you-know-whats. So let's talk about illegal immigration. I'm going to get into this next clip. What a lot of people don't know is the reason why the Democrats were heavy for illegal immigration, where they were the biggest anti-illegal immigration in the 90s and in the early 2000s. The reason is this. They saw the way the pendulum was swinging as far as with the American people's ideology. When you look on an electoral map of the country and you see all of this red and you see a few speckles of blue, that is where the support for the Republican Party is around the country versus Democrat support. It is in very, very, very small pockets. The thing is, those pockets where the Democrats have stronghold are typically in heavily populated and dense urban cities like Chicago, Los Angeles, different areas like that. That I can, New York City. These are areas that are cities that are heavily populated. People on top of people on top of people. So those heavily populated cities, they hold a lot of electoral college votes. The more population, the more people you have in your district, in your city, the more electoral college votes you have, and the more congressional seats. If you're enjoying this video, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up, because I'll never ask you for a cash app or a super chat, but you hitting that like button, it really does help the channel. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And then once you do, whether you're subscribed already or you're just subscribing now, make sure you hit the notification bell and select all. And then that way you'll be notified when I upload new videos. Sometimes YouTube doesn't notify everybody that's already subscribed what's going on. So check and make sure your notifications are set to all so you can get notified when I upload new videos. Thanks. And senatorial seats you get. So the reason why the Democrat Party, especially Texas, they targeted Texas because their goal was to flip Texas blue, because Texas has like the most electoral college votes. Them in California, it's something like 40 some odd electoral college votes. So when you win Texas, California, states like Florida, when you win these states, they have a huge influence on swaying who's going to be the president. And when it comes down congressional and senatorial seats, the population of these areas measures how many seats they get. So they flooded Texas, and Governor Abbott, in his wisdom, decided to start busing the illegal immigrants other places. Pay attention. Think about the sanctuary cities: Boston, Chicago, New York City. These places that are already heavily populated, they're deeply blue, but if they get more people in, guess what? They can expand how many seats they have. And it's based on the census. So when the census goes around and they start tracking how many, what the population is, and they give the report showing New York City increased the population by 500,000 people. Well, now guess what that triggers? More congressional seats to have somebody to represent those constituents. So the whole purpose of this illegal immigration was to flood the country and flood highly dense Democrat areas, increase the population in cities where it's deep Democrat power. And so if they get more seats, you already know they're going to be Democrats. You're not going to be a Republican in those areas winning. Well, I don't know about now. Like Chicago is about to flip red. Boston, some other cities, New York City, I don't see New York City flipping red. As far as on congressional, maybe, but like governors and stuff like that, still some work to do. But President Trump really dug into that deficit that they had in New York City. But let me get back on track. So the reason why you saw them flood the country was strictly because they want those Democrat cities and states to flood with people so they can increase how many seats they have in Congress and in the Senate. That's what this was all about, congressional seats. So let me show you just what I mean and how fake it all is. This right here is Chuck Schumer. And we're not talking about many moons ago. This is in the 2000s. This is during George Bush's time in office. Check this out.
And unavoidable. When we use phrases like undocumented workers, we convey a message to the American people that their government is not serious about combating illegal immigration, which the American people overwhelmingly oppose. If you don't think it's illegal, you're not going to say it. I think it is illegal and wrong and unavoidable.
Now, there's a thing called hidden in plain sight. And I won't go too deep into what I really want to say, but there are certain things or certain sects of people that are in power that believe in order for things to work, they have to admit out loud what their agenda is, give it to the people, but give it in a way that it might go right over the people's heads. But it's like a predictive programming. So they're telling you, you know, what's going on. And then when they do it down the road, many times the people they won't realize it, and they won't resist it as much, and won't realize why they're not resisting it is because the seed was planted years ago. Now, here's what I mean. Chuck Schumer just said, hey, listen, you know, using the word undocumented, you know, anybody using the word undocumented isn't serious about illegal immigration just by using that term. Now, Chuck Schumer is the head of the Senate, the Democrat side. He's the minority leader in the Senate. He was the majority leader when they had the majority. He's been in the Senate a long time, all the way back to the late 80s. Now, you heard him there, and this is the early 2000s, say, using the phrase undocumented means and signals that your government is not serious about fixing illegal immigration. What is the name that the Democrat Party gave to illegal immigration once they switched and decided that it's a good thing now? Undocumented. So he's letting you know out of his own mouth, and he's the head. He is one of the people that makes the decisions on how we're going to go out and attack this, how we're going to phrase this, what is our trigger words, how are we going to deliver this? Undocumented. But he just told you what that means if you hear the phrase undocumented, and pay attention to what every Democrat uses, including himself. Now, let's check out Chuck Schumer when he embarrassed himself in a very, very racist, typical Democrat racist way when he was referring to illegal immigrants. Check this out.
Let's just take Super Bowl Sunday, okay? It's going to affect beer, okay? Most of it, Corona here, comes from Mexico. It's going to affect your guac, because what is guacamole made of? Avocados, both from Mexico.
So his whole thing was stopping illegal immigration is a bad thing because your guacamole, which is made from avocados, which comes from Mexico, and your Corona, which is a Mexican beer. You know, these people are so racist, they don't even realize that their just general conversation is just so offensive, it's not even funny. But let's check out Nancy Pelosi and her take and how she refers.
Right now, the best thing that we can do for our economy is to have comprehensive immigration reform. We have a shortage of workers in our country, and you see even in Florida, some of the farmers and the growers saying, why are you shipping these immigrants up north? We need them to pick the crops down here. But that doesn't mean that we don't recognize our moral responsibility as well.
So as you see, even Nancy Pelosi, their whole intention was A, for votes, and B, to create a slave class of people in this country. I mean, let's just be real. The Democrat Party is the party of slavery. They are the party of Jim Crow. That is the party of the KKK. Do you know most people don't realize that Robert Byrd, the Virginia senator, the senator from West Virginia, who Joe Biden gave the eulogy at his funeral in 2016, that Robert Byrd was the exalted Cyclops of the KKK. And the exalted Cyclops is a high-ranking official. So when I hear people say the Republican Party today was the Democrat Party that was racist, that is a flat-out blatant lie. As a matter of fact, during the 1964 Civil Rights Bill, the longest filibuster in the history of the United States came from the Democrats refusing to vote for cloture about civil rights. And what cloture is where you bring up a bill or a piece of legislation for a debate for it to be voted on. The Democrats refused to vote for the civil rights bill. They refused to hold a debate on the civil rights bill. The filibuster lasted, I believe, like close to 70 days, give or take a few days. It was the Republican Party that sided with Lyndon Johnson and voted for the civil rights bill. Throughout history, every piece of legislation that has benefited a group of people to level the playing field and to right the wrongs of our country has come from Republicans. Abraham Lincoln, that Emancipation Proclamation, he was a Republican. When they did Reconstruction, when blacks were allowed to be in the Congress and to be senators, for that 10-year stretch where everything was made right, that was Democrat leadership that came back in, booted them out, created Jim Crow, and led to the next 60, 70 years of just some of the worst atrocities committed on people we've ever seen. That was the Democrat Party. That was out there busting people in the heads. George Wallace. He wasn't a Republican. He was a Democrat. So my whole thing is that this isn't new. But what they did, they got better at hiding it. Even Joe Biden had the nerve to say, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. As if voting for Democrat Party somehow legitimizes your skin tone or your ethnicity. Just like right now, the Democrat Party's racist attack against the white male, the white Christian male, is no different than the Democrat Party's attack against the black man back in forever. Forever. Joe Biden co-wrote the 94 crime bill. That bill alone is responsible for incarcerating more black and brown men than anything ever made. Ever made. The crack epidemic. I can go on and on and on and on. You know, but I bring this up to say, for that lady, that senator from Vermont, to say out of her mouth, by us not having illegal immigrants, who's going to wipe our arses, is nothing more. I won't even call it a Freudian slip. That was an intentional statement. She even said, hey, listen, I'm going to say what others are afraid to say. She knows that that is the intent and the mentality of her party. She knows it. And with all of the cover-ups, the deception, the gaslighting, and what just happened with Gilbrego Garcia, which I have a video about to drop about that. Oh, my God. It just gets worse and worse for them, and it gets better and better for us because they are exposing themselves. Trump doesn't have to do anything. They are exposing themselves. But I just wanted to bring you this and bring you up to speed in case you haven't heard, because guess what? The mainstream media isn't talking about it. You know why. So I wanted to bring this to you. If you've hung out and you watched the video up to this point, I appreciate it. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. If you haven't already, hit that like button for me. Most importantly, I want you to stay safe and you be great. I'm Brian Maxwell saying I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.